Good morning, beautiful people. It is Tuesday, April 7th. Big show today. Super Bowl champion Ike Taylor from the Pittsburgh Steelers will be joining us here in about 29 minutes. Tommaso Ciampa of the NXT will be joining us 15 minutes into the second hour. And then to close out the show, Austin Hooper, the tight end from the Atlanta Falcons that just got signed to the biggest tight end contract in NFL history, to the Cleveland Browns, will be joining us today. Massive, massive Tuesday here. Got a lot of conversations to talk about in the sports world. Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler potentially going to Monday Night Football. Have an incredible soundbite from McAfee and Hawk last week where Kirk Herbstreit talks about that entire situation potentially unfolding. I'm excited for the guy. I think he's very talented. We'll talk about that. Also, got a clip from the Dallas Cowboys social media of Jerry Jones conducting interviews with potential draft prospects, Jalen Hurts in this case, and also his coaching staff in preparation for the virtual draft that's coming here in a couple weeks. And then the technology is the greatest thing of all time. And then in the same exact fashion, it can be the worst thing of all time. We have an exact example of why potential NFL executives are a little bit worried about these Zoom meetings that could be happening on draft night. And obviously, Tom Brady wrote an entire column for the Players Tribune. Now, we would assume that Derek Jeter said, I'll give you my 30,000 square foot house on the water in South Tampa called St. Jetersburg to live for free as long as you write 2 to 3 columns in my Players Tribune. The first one was done by Tom, and there's one paragraph that I think we should really focus on. Now, granted, it's a great piece if you want to be motivated and inspired and learn from a guy who is the greatest of all time in his profession, but there's one paragraph that really makes me think he's pumped to get the hell out of that Patriot Way and Bill Belichick's house. Let's get to it. Evan Foxy, please play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for mental vacation, not your medication. 2 hours of magic, let's get it. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
You're damn right it is, Chase Rice, you handsome son bitch. Joining me in studio at Nick Moraldo, rocking an incredible American Legends t-shirt. You look good over there, pal.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Good glasses, too. You look smart, growing out the beard a little bit. It's a good day to be at Nick Moraldo. It's also a good day to be turtleneck Tone Diggs. Tone.
Yeah.
Great outfit today.
Thanks, buddy.
It's going to be 80 degrees outside in Indianapolis. Diggs, we all think, had to sneak in this turtleneck outfit because it was a killer outfit before the weather turns. And you said, no, you feel like you can wear this in the middle of summer because of how cold it normally is in the office.
Correct. And also, it's supposed to be like 30 this weekend. So
save it maybe.
So it wasn't a sneak in. It was just, throwing it on.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going to be 80 this afternoon.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, that affected. I put pants on today. I wasn't surprised. But wearing a hoodie and pants and boots on this beautiful spring day at Ty Schmidt. Great to see you, pal.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I trek into work. I walk. So, and even I was thinking today it's a little hot for this. So Tone's going to be hurting by about 3 o'clock.
Turtleneck Tone looks good. Looks good. I was going to hop on the bike to ride in today. That's how nice it was. Going to hop on the Harley, on the hog. Let that thing open up a little bit.
Open roads, too.
Oh, wide open. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
No, actually, by the way, what you said was accurate for a good bit here during this quarantine. Mm-hmm. These last 2 days, I'll tell you what, we're back to green flag racing.
Yeah.
There is a lot of people out and about. I think what it went from is stir crazy. People got stir crazy for being in their house. Then they got to experience freedom. They would go outside their house a little bit. And then there would be nothing that would happen to them. So then they started feeling invincible. And I think we are slowly, I understand this quarantine is supposed to happen. I don't think anybody told a lot of people that I experienced yesterday on my way home and into work that there's a quarantine still in place because the roads were packed. There was people with a BMX bike gang at the one gas station I rode by. They're just hanging out on the pegs and stuff like that, just chilling outside. There was music blasting outside this one grocery store. I mean, it was like, hey, spring has come. Let's live a little bit. And I'll tell you what, that curve, they said it done this. I think if the sun keeps showing up.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen because the weather, I think, automatically makes everybody feel like, okay, we got no school. Got no jobs. It's nice outside. we should at least go outside and see what it's like out there. We've been in our house. And then they see a neighbor, and then they completely forget. And then they're like, you want to go down? Yeah, let's go down. We're allowed to go to the grocery store. Let's go to the grocery store where the rest of our entire community is. So everybody's having a gathering at the grocery store, which probably not the best place to be at because that's where your food's at. I just don't know how this is going to play out if the weather continues to be nice in places that the weather hasn't been nice for a couple months. I mean, we haven't seen the sun really in Indianapolis for a long time. It's going to be 80 degrees outside. I'm going to hop on the hog at some point, but this is a disease, a virus that is
Airborne.
So like every time I roll down my windows, I'm like, should I do that? Should I roll my windows back up? I like hotbox myself in every car, but on a bike, like, do I roll around with an N95 mask on?
I have to.
Have to. Because you don't know who's coughing and sneezing at the bike next door. All I need is what? Some guy not go into the cradle?
Yep, the cradle.
Right into the cradle there and just sneeze up in the thing. And then I pop the clutch and then all of a sudden what? I get hit by COVID-19 right in the face while I'm trying to take a little cruise on my bike with my lady?
That's
how
when
it
you
works.
hit the wheelie to block it. Use the bike to
pop
block
it up.
Yeah.
That's at Viva Lazito. Jason McAfee's back there. At Evan Foxy's back there wearing a Ric Flair shirt that we bought strictly so that he would call into our show because he said if you buy merch within the next hour, well, I will call into your show and thank you. And we're like, all right.
That's business, baby.
We will book Ric Flair for $35. I mean, I'm completely okay with that. Shirt's pretty nice. Boston Connor looks like an absolute stooge. I have never seen anything like that. I mean, it's a great polo, but you have a baseball shirt on top of a polo. You just look, and then your hair off and your beard. It's a tough day to be Connor Campbell.
It's a great
I'd
day
like
to
to
be
know.
Connor Campbell.
I'd like to know all the fashion statements that's been. This is every day at the office. Like if you walk in wearing something new, it is talked about within the boys at the office.
I have never seen turtleneck tone before, and this is one that I did not expect on an 80-degree day. And I'm going to be honest. I think, Tone, you should have been rocking this thing. You look good in this thing. You look thin, too. He's getting ready for a photo shoot with Zito.
Yeah, haircut looks good.
Haircut. I mean, it's all coming together for Turtleneck Tone. And on the flip side, on the phones back there, that's just a disgusting representation of this office.
What are you talking about?
When you're out and about, you're representing this office, and you're dressing like that, people are going to think you're just a stooge.
No. I got the collar on. I look good in it, and I'm repping the company.
Oh, my God. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, what I'm saying about repping the company is like, that's not good for the company.
So you want me? I can button it up if you want.
Because it's a button down.
Yeah,
and still a collar.
I might even throw a tie around the whole entire thing.
You said that because of the great news that was coming out of the MLB where they are thinking about doing a biodome a la what's it? Weasel. What's
Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore, and that was a great movie, by the way.
It is a great movie.
That was a great movie. Okay?
Purple sticky punch.
So they're going to biodome out Phoenix, Arizona, and have every MLB player go out there, and they'll just go to the stadium and then home. They're in a self-quarantine / with baseball being mixed in. Now, there's obviously a lot of questions. They have no idea if they're able to do this because they have to have tests to test the people that they're letting into their biodome world. But then they said if they take a lot of tests, they're going to look like stooges or asses. So they want to make sure there's enough tests for the humans that matter and the humans that are potentially sick before they decide to make this move. But they are thinking of trying to figure out how to have a league, how to have games in a sport that is pretty much dead. If it was to come back now, would probably be good for the sport is what they're thinking, but they ultimately want to be good for humanity and not waste tests. I like that they're thinking of creative ways to get this thing done. I just don't know how they're ever going to be able to do it because if somebody gets sick, if somebody, a manager ends up dying, if somehow a test isn't available for somebody in Idaho whenever they need it and the MLB is just blowing through tests, they're going to look like terrible people. So I like that Rob Manfred, who has on plenty of occasions looked like an absolute idiot. I mean, the way he handled that Houston Astros situation, him speaking up there, I had no idea if that was a elementary school principal or the commissioner of a league. He was looking down. He wouldn't make eye contact with people. He made Roger Goodell look like a damn saint of a commissioner, let alone the decision-making process. But I like the thought that they're trying to get creative. And I would assume, by the way, that this all came from the commissioner's call that the president had this weekend, telling people telling the commissioners probably, hey, we need a little bit of optimism. So Dana White goes out and says, you got it. Dana White says, here's a little optimism. As of next week, we are going to be back full-time running fights week in, week out. We have a venue that we've been securing for the last couple weeks. That's where the Americans will fight at. There will be no crowd. Come in, get tested. Let the two human cockfighters get in there and battle it out for the world's entertainment. And international fighters, don't you worry about that. I figured that out as well. I got a private island. I got a private island I've secured. We're going to have private planes since I can't get them into America. I asked the president. I already asked, can we get them into America? Can't have you flying them into America. All right. Well, what about a private island? You can if you would like to buy a private island and call it Dana White UFC land, you can fly them into there. He says he's going to get a private plane to these private islands, and he's going to let the international fights happen there. The American fights happen in a venue that he has. Here's an interview that he did, I think, just yesterday. And boy, I think the UFC is going to be back up and running. And this is straight out of Billionaire Dreams Club world. I'm going to get a private island. I'm going to build my own venue. Going to have humans fight in them. No big deal.
I have this venue for 2 months. I'm setting up shop here.
No big deal.
We're going to be pumping out fights every week.
Wow. Humans in,
I am
humans
also,
out.
a day or two away from securing a private island. I have a private island that I've secured. We're getting the infrastructure put in now. So I'm going to start doing the international fights too with international fighters.
I love this, man.
Because I won't be able to get international fighters, all of them into the U.S.
Obviously.
So I have a private island. I'm going to start flying them all into the private island and doing international fights from there.
Don't need America
as of
anyways.
April 18th, the UFC is back up and running.
Let's go! I love that man. I love that man. He's worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. At this point, he has an office in Las Vegas that's the size of most mansions. I mean, he is living a life where obviously they bought the UFC for $1 million or something, sold it for a couple billion. He's maintained now from his Fertitta friendship into the new ownership of WME. He's allowed to do whatever the hell he wants. He's made so much money, and he's Vince McMahon. He's the modern day Vince McMahon of UFC. And the fact that he's just like, all right, let me figure out a way to put on these fights, mostly because I think in his eyes, which I think we think on a daily basis too, a great escape for people that love watching mixed martial arts is getting to watch two humans fight each other. And now on the complete flip side, way back in the day, they used to sell out coliseums for people battling. I mean, this has been a human's favorite entertainment form for a long, long time. And I would assume with a lot of people being pent up, now granted with the weather changing, I don't know if many people are going to be pent up for much longer, but with people being pent up, getting a chance to watch two humans go into a cage like a couple cockfighters and beat the hell out of each other is going to be something a lot of people are going to want to watch. And I assume Dana White is like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this for the people. But also I like, as a businessman, he's like, we can't be stopping our show for can we not just do it in the basement? I got a venue right here for 2 months. Can we do it in the basement? And the president's like, just do it, man. He's like, all right, I'll fly him into my basement then. And then, by the way, private island. We're trying to build some things. What do they got? Water there, probably?
So that's what I was thinking. Infrastructure suggests that it's literally just like a patch of land in the middle of the ocean.
That was like
they
Billy
need everything.
McFarland's
I have,
downfall.
by the way, I have looked into a couple islands for purchase, right, for goals and stuff like that. There's islands that already are fully plumbed, renovating. I would assume when he's talking about infrastructure, it's potentially stadium or arena where they would fight with air conditioning and stuff like that, because you can't have a rain, hurricane, or something like that come through. What's that?
I was thinking it'd be much cooler if the octagon was outside and they did have to fight in the elements.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Bro, just think about that movie. This guy just walking in, buffers on a little Zoom screen. Standing in the hurricane to my left. Oh, that would be electric. Good for Dana White trying to figure it out. Good for the MLB trying to figure it out. It's no coincidence, though, that this is coming just a couple of days after the call from the president and others. I would assume that this is something where they're like, hey, should be good to go with the NFL. Move forward with the draft however you can. Should be good with baseball. Let's figure out a way to get that done. Let's figure out a way to get these UFC fights. WrestleMania, WWE's doing their thing. I think that was probably the call. We got a couple more things we got to hit after the commercial break here. And then we got Ike Taylor. Every time Ike Taylor comes on, it's a great conversation. This dude's been planking in his basement, in his garage for a couple minutes, challenging James Harrison and stuff like that. Can't wait to talk to him about all things football. And also, this video of Jerry Jones interviewing people from his damn living room is electric. More to come on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Tuesday, April 7th. Let me tell you a little story about these statistics. Troy Polamalu, okay? Fucking Troy Polamalu. So we had a fake for the Pittsburgh Steelers that was a 100%er. We didn't even have a cancel the goddamn play because it was a 100%er. If we ever end up in this situation, inside the 7-yard line on the left hash, it is a 100%er that the C gap will be wide open and we will just part the C to the left. It'll be a touchdown. 100%er. We're playing in Pittsburgh, the city I grew up in. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I won the punt, pass, and kick national championship, AJ. National championship, AJ.
Congrats.
AJ, did you ever win the national championship, punt, pass, and kick?
I think I got 3rd or 4th out of 4 at the Nationals.
I'm proud of you, man. Anyways, so we're there in that stadium, okay? A lot of McAfee's in there. A lot of McAfee's in Pittsburgh. I'm going to score my first fucking touchdown, night game, Sunday Night Football, I believe it was, right here, touchdown. We get into that situation, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is really going to happen. We're like on the 6 on the left hash. It's 4th and goal now. Field goal team's jogging on. I'm like, well, fuck, it's about to, I'm ready. I am ready for this to happen. So I get out there. I get down. Vinny's like happy for me. Vinny's like very excited. He's like, let's fucking go. Like Vinny's excited for me at this moment. I'm like, here we go. So I make the call. I forget what it was. So I start saying it, right? And everybody's looking at me like, okay, bright eyes. Here we go. Let's get after it. Offensive linemen are dead ass tired. They do not want to be in the middle of a field goal anyways. So they're just like, all right, I don't give a fuck if you die here, but this should work. Let's get some points. And all of a sudden, I go through my cadence, I call it, I get down, and Troy Polamalu's fucking ass goes ahead for however long his career was at this point. I think it was like 9 years or 8 years at this point. Not a once has he ever gone to this side of the field over here to the left and stood right in the C gap. Never. He lined up exactly where he had lined in film 100% of the time. And then as soon as I got to like the second cadence right before set, he just bounced his little ass right over to the C gap. And I like stopped everything I was doing and I literally just looked at him. And I gave him like what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, why are you there right now? And then I stood up and said, we are kicking it. We have to kick it. We are kicking this. And then I get down, and Vinatieri kicks it, and I jog off the field, and Chuck Pagano comes running up next to me. He's like, hey, good job. What you see? I said, what did I see? Polamalu just fucking went right into the goddamn C gap. What did I see? What did I see? And he goes, okay, sounds good. Good call then. And good call then. And then Vinatieri's like, hey, way to go, buddy. I'm like, way to go? Are we not going to talk about how big of a fucking asshole Troy Polamalu is for what just happened right there? So that's.
I saw the angel of death waiting for me in the C gap.
It's unbelievable. What, you thought I was going to run him over? No way. He's probably going to strip me and score a touchdown the other fucking. That's Polamalu, bro. That ain't just your backyard football with your son. These are professional fucking athletes. He'd probably jump over the lineman, pick me up, and run me into the other fucking end zone if he wanted to. That's what he would have done.
The hard-hitting safety of his generation, too. Ed Reed, great cover safety. I don't know that you would have feared him, but
Ed Reed, I would have feared Ed Reed. Yeah, if I saw Ed Reed in that C gap, absolutely. E.D. Reed, boy, the best safety you ever seen, boy. I ain't doing shit to Ed Reed.
No, Ed Reed would have made the tackle. I'm saying that Polamalu would have shaved years off your life.
Oh, my God.
If you are listening to this show right now, I want you to take a second and look down. When was the last time you shaved your junk? It's been a while, don't lie. Let's take a second to thank our sponsor Manscaped for holding you accountable to get rid of that funk and shave your junk. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0 Essentials Kit. The perfect tools for your family jewels. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with a new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof cordless body trimmer and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine. Yeah! This third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. Subscribers.
Oh, a little beat change here.
When you purchase new
Turtleneck Town
3.0 kit at manscaped.com, you get the biggest bang for your buck. Subscribers get a new replacement blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months, making sure your trimmer always stays fresh and clean. For a limited time, subscribers get not one, but 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. This is a perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off and free shipping with code America at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code America at manscaped.com.
Matthew Thomas in the comment section said, I just shaved my junk yesterday, Diggs. So it's
good.
working. Your
That's good.
reads
Nice.
are working. Trim the shrubs, the tree will stand taller. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Tuesday, April 7th. We talked about a couple things in the first little, what's that called? Block.
Yep, block A.
Hey. I'm a big radio guy. Big radio guy. We talked about Dana White and some other stuff. Something I would like to definitely chat about. NBA says no decision will be made this month. That's obviously a massive deal. Saying they're not going to say anything until May 1st. That's a few weeks away before we hear anything about the NBA. The NBA was up and running. I mean, they were on an up slope. Arrow trending all the way up. Then obviously a worldwide pandemic comes through, social distancing, quarantining, and now it appears as if we could potentially. I don't know if we're going to see the end of this NBA season. I don't know if we're going to see the end of it. Now, will Anthony Davis stay with the Lakers? Right?
No way.
Because they never got a chance to really. I think, will he be like, I have to stay at least for one run through the playoffs? Or will he say, this might be a sign I got to get out of here? I mean, that's an interesting thing because if Anthony Davis leaves the Lakers, what do the Lakers do? Will LeBron ever win another championship is the question now. If they don't have the NBA come back this year, I think this year was chance could be a year they're going to win it.
Oh, yeah.
Was.
For sure.
I honestly think that. I think LeBron was going to win another one this year. Now, granted, Anthony Davis and the Balding Caruso and the whole squad, I think they were going to do it. But if not this year, then when? And will Caruso be able to play basketball at the same level he was playing before then next year? Nobody knows. Will he be bald when he comes out of this? We hope.
Should be.
Should be. Same with Bron, by the way. Not a bad time to give that thing a go.
Yeah.
Come back on the opposite side, a bald Bron, and dominate. But NBA, I'm not going to be this guy. NBA is going to come back, but I don't think so.
They're not hopeful.
They seem to be a lot more pessimistic than everybody else. Yeah. Everybody else's leagues who hadn't started yet seem to be a lot more optimistic. The people whose leagues have already happened have basically been canceled or postponing until they can figure it out. I hope the NBA comes back because it was getting into the point where I was just starting to get into it. Like, okay, now it's going to happen. Golf is postponed, everything until the fall. I think we're going to learn about golf a lot in their pecking order of society. Masters Sunday is obviously a thing that you dream about and love and have a nap during, and Jim Nance's soothing voice is magical, and the runs at Augusta, and you name it, all that stuff. But you put that against the NFL, I'm just not 100% sure what I'm going to be able to pick. Maybe I saved Masters Sunday for Tuesday. That's the move. DVR the Masters.
Yeah, for sure.
That is the move. You move it to Tuesday. Now, granted, you still have to work, put it on immediately after work. Then you have the nap and the whole thing. You finish up Masters. I don't know how they're going to compete. But with the NFL, a lot of conversation about moving forward as is. The virtual draft is going to happen. Monday Night Football is something that has been up in the air for the last 2 years. Obviously, the Jason Witten experiment did not work out as planned. Jason Witten is now playing football for another team other than the Dallas Cowboys. He's playing for the Raiders.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gruden Grinder. Monday Night Football booth. John Gruden, Jason Witten, not only on a football field together, coach and player, but they'll also be sharing tips on broadcasting. Maybe Jason Witten gets back into it after people forget about the Monday Night Football stint, which almost did happen because of the test toward Booger McFarland. For whatever reason, I'm not saying anything about Booger, I'm not saying anything about Tess, but for some reason, it was not a booth that people seemed to love. I liked Booger McFarland as a human. I liked him as a commentator. I like Joe Tessitore as a human. I like him as a commentator. But for whatever reason, every once in a while, the people can tell the story. So they are now up in the air again. They tried to pursue Tony Romo. They were going to pay Tony Romo, 17 million or 16 million or something like that. And then CBS paid him 17 million. He's back with Jim Nance in afternoons. They tried to go after Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, who's Peyton's Places, by the way, were on ESPN all weekend. Good stuff. Mm-hmm. Hey.
I enjoyed it.
I watched it thoroughly for the first time. Good stuff. Good writing. I thought it was good entertainment level, good information. Peyton's Places was a very good thing that I had not watched. I had said I watched it because I saw little clips of it and stuff like that, but I actually watched it from front to back, a couple episodes. Good piece of content. He's in the ESPN house already making content for ESPN. They go ask him for Monday Night Football, allegedly offer him $20 million. $20 million. And Peyton Manning says, nah, I'm going to go sell some more insurance. So now what does ESPN do? Everybody's talking about ESPN's looking bad. They try to make a trade potentially for Al Michaels because they thought that would lure Peyton Manning over because Peyton, I guess, has an affinity for Al Michaels. NBC said, no way, Jose. And you got to remember, all this is for everybody who's trying to get a Super Bowl, right? So NBC is not giving up Al Michaels because they're probably bidding on a Super Bowl at some point. They don't want to help out ESPN because they don't want ESPN to get a Super Bowl over NBC. Fox is trying to get Super Bowls. CBS is trying to get Super Bowls. That's why they paid $17 million to Tony Romo, because the world heard Tony Romo on the Super Bowl and everybody loved Tony Romo. So CBS, if they're trying to get another Super Bowl, they want to keep their booth intact. Fox wants to do that with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. NBC wants to do it with Alan Chris, even though they have Mike Tirico, who a lot of people say is one of the greatest play-by-play guys to ever exist. He's been put by the wayside because of Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. Mike Tirico is now a host on a desk. So what does ESPN in their number one NFL booth have that they could get a Super Bowl or bid for a Super Bowl over everybody else? So ESPN tried to pull out all the stops. They allegedly tried to lure Drew Brees out of his new $50 million deal with the Saints, $25 million a year deal with the Saints, and get him out of that and come do Monday Night Football. Drew Brees said, I still have some chapters to write in the football world on the field, but catch me on the other side. So then it came out that ESPN and Drew Brees have a withstanding offer whenever he's done with playing and making another $50 million and doing whatever he's doing, he will have the Monday Night Football job. So now the conversation is, are they just trying to fill a booth until Drew Brees retires? How long will Drew Brees retire? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 1 year? How long does this booth last? And they were like, well, we have to have a stopgap until that case allegedly pops up. This is all things I've not been told directly by ESPN. I've just followed this rather closely because I thought I would potentially be in the running for it. Turns out I am not, because the move is Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler, Saturday night's crew, college football, A team, one team, would also do Monday Night Football, or would they only do Monday Night Football? A lot of college football fans have said, don't do that to us. Just because you can't figure out Monday Night Football, don't take away our golden team of Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. We love them. And good news for you college football fans, because on Friday or Thursday, I forget which day it was, Kirk Herbstreit joined me and AJ Hawk from McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk, and I asked him directly about his name being circulated for the Monday Night Football job, and this is what he had to say. And with the NFL, there is one game that is played on a different night than when the NFL normally plays. It is on a Monday night, and that particular game is played on ESPN, which is a place that you have worked for like 19, 20 years at this point and have mastered the craft of being a color commentator. There's a lot of speculation after Tony Romo goes back to CBS, Al Michaels doesn't get traded, Peyton Manning turns down the job yet again. As of today, if you look around the internet and the speculation, the thought is, can Kirk Herbstreit pull double duty and do Saturday night and Monday night, both at college and in the NFL? Is that something you've ever thought about? And in my eyes, why haven't you been doing that for the last 10 years?
Well, I appreciate it. I'm a college football guy. Like, that's my passion. So, my agent has talked a little bit about that as a possibility and entertaining that. And my reaction to that is, if I would even think about that, there's no way I'm not doing College Game Day. There's no way I'm not calling a college game. Like, I love doing that. Like, NFL would be, I could do it, and I think I'd enjoy it, but I think it'd be work. I don't, just not in NFL. I enjoy the NFL. I love watching guys like AJ or you or guys that I know cover, throughout their college career. But I don't I don't love the NFL the way college game. I just love it. I just love everything it's about.
Okay, so there it is. Now, granted, if they said they're going to pay him $20 million not to do college football, would he say, I do love it? I don't know. Herbstreit and Fowler are a talented duo, though. And you got to remember, this is all 100%, not only so they can put on a great product and restore Monday Night Football for being the weekly Super Bowl, basically, and the biggest night of the week. Now, I know the NFL has a lot to say with that, with the games that they choose to put on Monday Night Football, and I think there's a chance to flex coming up in here in the near future. But what team would you want to see in the Monday Night Football booth? I'm intrigued to see who they end up with. I honestly am. The schedule is wild. right? You're gone all weekend. You don't get home till Tuesday. Then you're back watching film. Then you're gone again Friday or whatever. I mean, it's a grind. That's why Peyton didn't want to do it from the stories people say. He didn't want to do the schedule. The year before, the story that was being told is he didn't want to critique Eli Manning. Then it was the schedule, which, by the way, after experiencing a commentator's schedule, it is no joke. If I have $100 million already in my bank account and I sell insurance to everybody, I could understand how people would be like, I'm not doing that schedule. Yeah. No way. So I'll be intrigued to see what it is. Kirk Herbstreit says, though, for you college football fans, he would never leave college football because he absolutely loves it. He's very good at it. I'll be excited to see if they have them go Saturday to Monday. That'd be a big time schedule for those two. And there's some people in the comment section that are saying, I didn't even know commentators mattered. It's like, they're hosting the show, dude. Like, you don't. And by the way, if you don't hear them, probably good. And if you hear them too much, probably not great. And if you're enjoying while watching, that's the job of the commentator, is to set the environment, set the tone, tell the stories, and hopefully fill any dry time whenever that game gets inevitably boring, which a lot of Monday Night Football games have gotten. We have to get to a break because we got Ike Taylor on the other side. Cannot wait to chat with this man. Legendary conversations with this guy. Kirk and Fowler would be great on there, though. Very talented people. Very talented.
Would they just be the stopgap then?
I guess, yeah. Some people in the comment section said, why not Berman? If you're going to get a stopgap, why not get a person who's near retirement? Oh, back. What, dude? They brought back NFL Live? I used to love those shows.
Yeah, but he used to do, like, the first week of the year when they had the second Monday Night Football game, the late one.
Him and Dilfer.
It was okay.
32 minutes after the hour, we're back on the other side. It's the Pat McAfee Show. YouTube questions during the break. Every once in a while, we like to dive deep into the annals of the internet, the YouTube comment section with YouTube questions.
YouTube questions.
Well, howdy doody do you do there. Let's get to the YouTube comments with a YouTube question from your YouTube commenters host, PMS Zito.
From Garrett Berry. Everyone's favorite moment from the Wild Fall schedule. I'm guessing just you guys had.
No. Let's do it. Mine was going Buffalo to Memphis. I think on Jim Irsay's jet would have to be it. That was absolute pandemonium. I mean, it was insane. Hey, the entire WWE roster is stuck in Saudi Arabia. We're trying to put on a show tonight. Triple H gives a call. I knew this was all potentially... I knew they were throwing together a show because of my previous work with WWE, and a couple friends that I had in WWE were like, we are not going to be back. And if we're back, it's going to be a sprint from the airport directly onto the thing. Then what? Triple H gives me a call at like noon. He's like, hey, don't know if you've heard about what happened. I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I heard what happened. Is there any way you can get to Buffalo, New York tonight? I'm like, yeah, man, for sure. Just have the plane, just go there instead of going to Memphis for College game day tomorrow. No problem at all. Then I hang up the phone. It's like, all right, now we have to find a plane. So the plane that we're supposed to take to Memphis wasn't even in Indianapolis until 10 p.m. at night or something, whenever we were supposed to leave to go to Memphis. It was in like Florida or something like that. So I had to literally call around to any human I knew that had a plane. By the way, there's only one, and that would be Jim Irsay. And I sent a text message to his chief operator. I don't know if I should say his name. Everybody knows who it is. Pete. I sent Pete a text message. I'm like, I have a wild favor to ask of Jim, and I don't know how to properly ask this question. He's like, what's up? I'll call you right now. I was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. So there's a chance I could be on WWE SmackDown in Buffalo, New York, but I have to get to Memphis for College game day tomorrow morning. Is there any way I could use Irsay Force 1 and maybe Irsay Force 2 and get there? And he's like, yeah, I didn't expect this request. Let me see what Jim says. I don't think it should be a problem, by the way, is what Pete said. And I was like, why haven't I been doing this every week? But Jim, then I get a text back. It's like, hey, Jim says, good luck and go kill it, brother. And I'm like, what a legend of a man. We hop on that plane. We had steak sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
We had steak sandwiches. The Wi-Fi was faster than we have in this office right now. There was no glitches on any of it. We had cable television. We had Netflix. We had everything on there.
Let's play Fortnite.
Straight to Buffalo for SmackDown, straight to Memphis. I mean, it was just next level. And then obviously we had to take the basic ass private plane from Memphis back to Indianapolis, which is all good. But that was a legendary moment that I will never, ever forget about Jim Irsay being the man, and what a crazy set of opportunities that just lined up for no good reason, by the way. Wore shorts on that Memphis show. It was
cold that morning.
It's really cold.
I think that was it for me, I think. It's the first thing that popped in my head.
Yeah.
Or the national championship day. That thing was like
that
was like, what, 28 hours straight or something like that.
What about Memphis? You had a little picnic in the park with all the bums and flies, and you didn't have a hotel room. You had to walk around the city with your pillow in your hand like a vagabond.
You know what? That Memphis is involved in both of my favorite memories. That was a YouTube question. Fox is having a stroke back here. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. We're being joined now by a man who is a two-time Super Bowl champion. I seen him on the television the other day. He didn't win that Super Bowl. Could have been a three-time Super Bowl champion. A guy who is always electric on this show, Mr. Ike Taylor. Boy, Ike!
Hey, P-Mac, but that's how you go to my intro, though, P-Mac? You going to say I saw him on TV, but he didn't win the Super Bowl?
I had, because in my head, you know, none of these intros are prepared. I'm just kind of walking through things. And then after the two-time Super Bowl champion, when I thought of Super Bowl, I was like, literally just watched him play football the other day. He was in a Super Bowl. Didn't win that one, but he still won 2 Super Bowl. I think it was still, you know, it's my fault. Honestly, it's my fault.
Now, I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers, if you was a defensive back, and for the most part, a lot of our guys in that secondary, we was in good position. And Aaron Rodgers, he was threading that needle, man. Like he was on. We was coming back, P-Mac. We was coming back on the sideline, like just shrugging our shoulders at each other, like, "Hey, Coach LeBeau, what else we can do?" He was like, "Nothing." he was like, "That boy on fire. That boy on fire right now. Ain't nothing y'all can do. Like y'all in good position." He just threading the needle.
There are some times, I would assume, where that is the case. How many games in the NFL did that happen? Not many, huh?
Nah, you can. In my career, I can probably say about 3 or 4 times. It's just you catch a quarterback like Tom Brady one time. He was in the Matrix. Aaron Rodgers went in the Matrix on us. Peyton Manning went in the Matrix on us. Even a young Cam Newton in preseason, his rookie year, we saw he was going to be good. He went in the Matrix on us. So,
at what point do you realize you're in the Matrix? By the way, is that early in the game, or is it like not until a quarter?
They make about 4 or 5 throws, and you know defenders are and linebackers. They in the windows and they covering tight coverage. and they still threading that needle, you like, you know what? It's gonna be one of these games, bro. which make you step your game up. It's just like, man, ain't nothing I can do.
That ball to Greg Jennings from Aaron Rodgers in that Super Bowl, where Ryan Clark just talked about it on Get Up this morning, about how he had this entire read on him. He knew whenever the lineup was this, we're quarter, half, or whatever.
We saw trips to our right, so that was trips left by the offense. He locked me on the tight end because he saw we was in a cover 2 looking shell, but I was playing zero coverage on the back end. We knew that Greg Jennings was going to be on James Ferrier, so he was like, you know what? If I can get there in time enough, I can go and at least get this pick or knock the ball out of Greg Jennings. I'm sorry, Greg Jennings, the receiver. But like I say, man, AR, we call him AR-12. AR-12, he shot. He hit.
Hey, it was fun. That was a fun game to watch, though. I mean, that was Visor Ben Roethlisberger. He was throwing the ball to anybody. He was young Jameis. He was just throwing the ball up to anybody. Aggressive, getting after it. I mean, that was an awesome game to watch. I forgot how good of a game it was, to be honest with you.
No, it was, P-Mac. It was a good game. Like, that was later on in my career, and I think we've been to 3 Super Bowls in like 5 years. So I wasn't yawning, but I was telling myself, like, man, we supposed to come in every 2 years. So I need to be here. So we did 2 already. Then we messed around and got to our 3rd one. And, you know, I'm still young. I'm like, man, this is life. And my homeboys coming back to me in the offseason who played on other teams, they was like, man, I'm glad y'all lost. I'm getting tired of y'all coming back to these offseason workouts talking about how much fun y'all having all these autograph signings, people giving y'all deals. He was like, bro, I'm glad y'all lost.
My rookie year, I played in the Super Bowl. We ain't never get back to it. I mean, we ain't never get back to it. A couple years later, we were almost completely defeated. That's why it's so impressive to get to multiple Super Bowls. It is not an easy task. That's why it is not easy.
Nah, you ain't lying, P-Mac. Put you this. That's the last time Aaron Rodgers got to a Super Bowl, bro.
Yeah.
That was 2010. The last time Drew Brees got to a Super Bowl was when?
2009.
Bro, like you said, it ain't easy.
It is not easy.
It ain't easy, man. We talking about 10 years later, 11 years later with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Ain't nothing easy about it. There is no, we going to get back. It's not guaranteed.
Why do you think the Patriots were able to debunk every single stat and trend and everything like? Now, granted, you guys did there for a bit too. The Steelers, let's not get crazy. That Steelers team that you guys had early Ben years and stuff like that was incredible to watch and a lot of success. But for 20 years, basically, the better half of 20 years, the Patriots were just able to get back to the Super Bowl, get back to greatness. And do you think that is Bill Belichick led? Do you think they'll still be able to do that, or has this just been something that will never happen again?
Oh man, I look at Bill Belichick how I look at Nick Saban in college. Like
great recruiter.
Them two, they got a system and they don't deter from that system, bro. Like Nick Saban is defense, run the ball. And you can just look at the quarterbacks that come out of Alabama, they just be okay. Like the quarterbacks come out of Alabama, I don't care who you say how athletic. When you drafted from Alabama, you drafted on defense, you drafted offensive linemen.
Good run game.
Running backs. Now, if you get a quarterback, it's to be determined with Tua, is what I won't say. I'm just going off of recent history. Playing quarterback at Alabama, when you get into the league, just like playing quarterback at USC, when you get into the league, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different.
Is it because of how talented the people are around them down there? Is that the case?
Man, you know this generation, P-Mac, they talking about stars, 5-star, 3-star. It ain't nothing but stars. It's 5. You're a goddamn 4-star at Alabama can be started anywhere in the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's all you're doing is looking at the sky. You're looking at stars. That's all you're doing. You in Hollywood. you just walking down the street looking at stars. When you go to Alabama, some of these big top-notch schools and Clemson, you just looking at stars, man.
It is.
For real.
It is interesting because if you have the players in college, you are going to win games. That's just how it is. And there's the teams that have them, right? That's why everybody says it's different down here. The SEC has a great tradition of just getting all the great players. Now, Ohio State, obviously, incredible factory. The way they operate, the success they had. That quarterback next year might be the number 1 pick next year, by the way. A lot of people are saying, Trevor Lawrence. I still believe he's 6'5" and a stud, but that quarterback they have is incredible. The thing with Tua, though, is he was the first quarterback at Alabama where I remember going like, damn, they got a guy that can throw the ball. I never thought, now granted, this is no knock on A.J. McCarron or Jalen Hurts or any of the quarterbacks of the past.
Greg McElroy.
Any of them, right? This is no knock on them, but they never had to, right? It was always like, hey, we can run and win this thing, and even if they throw it, it's always like the guys were wide open or whatever. Tua was able to put it on the absolute money whenever he was throwing the rock. He used to be able to thread the needle, as you say. He used to get into the matrix, but I always wondered, if you're getting 4 surgeries with that offensive line in front of you and the best talent, what is going to happen when he gets to the NFL? I think he's talented enough, but what will happen when he doesn't have all those stars around him to protect him in the NFL? You can fall, and if you're going early, that means that team stinks. There's a reason you're going there. It could be a whole new world for Tua, or on the flip side, he could light it up. I have no idea.
Tua got at least 3 guys that's going first round. He got 2 receivers that might go first. One for sure going first.
Yeah, he's really
one for sure going first. Ruggs might go first if somebody reach for him. Then you got an offense. You got an offensive lineman. He's gonna go first. And you hit it on the head because, as a GM as I want to be, that's what I say. If you can't be healthy in college, how do I expect for you to be healthy with training camp, OTAs, mini camp, in the regular season? So we talking about 22 games, not including if we get to the playoffs. You couldn't stay healthy for 11 to 12 games in college. So now all of a sudden, I expect you to be healthy with a longer season. That's my only question mark about Tua.
He knows it too, by the way. He put out a hype video last night that was awesome. I mean, he put out a video. He tweeted a video out last night like, who is Tua? If you want Tua, come and get him, basically. He was down in Nashville and that tornado happened. I think his rental car got slaughtered. I mean, this kid has been through it now. That hip surgery, he says he's all the way back. The drills look incredible. But if you're a GM and you draft him high, you're riding with him. That's like pace with Mitchell Trubisky. You're riding with this guy. You're riding with your scouting. You're riding with, hey, I think this guy's going to be my franchise quarterback. And if he gets hurt, everybody's going to be like, how did you not know that he was going to get hurt? You know what I mean? But on the flip side, he is a freakishly talented thrower of the ball. And it feels like in the offense we have, if you have a guy that can sling it, you can be successful. I just don't know who's going to get. I have no idea who's going to. It's alleged that Miami's interested in Air Bear more so than Tua, but that could be all smoke and mirrors around draft time. Everybody starts lying around this time. I mean, I have no idea how it's going to play out for the kid.
Man, I hope it plays out well for Tua, just for Tua's sake, because I like watching him in college. Like, it's hard. I just like watching lefty quarterbacks because they just a little bit different, So you got to change your whole game plan up as a defensive coordinator and as an OC because everything is lefty. And as a receiver, man, the ball is spinning a little bit different. Just ask Jerry Rice when he went from Joe to Steve Young from that left-handed quarterback. But at the same time, bro, it's just like
the MVP of tailgating, Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
He didn't do well with Steve. Whenever Steve was throwing lefty, I didn't know that. Did that really affect him? Is that something he said before?
No, I don't. I'm just saying the ball spins different.
Oh, yeah.
The ball just spins different. It just comes out different. The laces look different from a righty to a lefty.
And it turns over the other way.
Correct. You know what I'm saying? So it's just with Tua, I just like seeing left-handed quarterbacks. Like I'm a Steve Young, a Vic, a Tua. I'm a left-handed guy. I just like seeing lefties because they're a little bit different. You don't see them too often. But just getting back to Tua, like, man, he has some studs. The man has some studs on offense. You talking about 2 receivers that can possibly go in the first round. I get what you're saying as far as like athletic talent, and he's having these hunt videos, but ain't nobody chasing him. Ain't no linebacker coming for him to blitz. Ain't no defensive lineman gonna put no 350 pounds on him. It's a little bit different, when you got some dancing bears, as they call the defensive lineman, who good. A dancing bear coming down your throat. It's a little bit different when you got linebackers nicknamed maniacs coming in your face. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Tua throwing the ball. I like Tua. I just like his presence. I think he's just a natural leader. I think everything he does, from playing the instruments to singing, I think all of that is just pure because that's their culture. He's just a pure, God-fearing, good-hearted dude. It's just getting back to what we was talking about before, P-Mac, It's them injuries, bro. That's the only thing that scared me, dog.
I've been questioning it too a lot. I don't know. Let's move forward. I want to ask you about potential Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengal virtual draft. How much easier would it be? And I'm not saying Joe Burrow is going to do this. I am not saying it. But it's much easier to say, I don't want to go to a team whenever you can do it via text or FaceTime, isn't it? And as opposed to on the draft stage. Could you imagine if Joe Burrow via a Zoom or a FaceTime says, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to Cincinnati.
I hope we do to bring some entertainment to the draft. For real. I hope we be like, man, I don't want to go there. I hope we try to think where we want to go. It's not like this going to be the first time, just as John Elway, as Eli Manning. So it's not like it's the first time this thing was to happen on not wanting to go to a certain franchise or a certain spot at a particular time. But Joe Cool, I call him Joe Cool, man. Joe Cool is like, it don't even matter. Like Joe Cool, again, he's just one of the boys. You know, when you got a guy who's in college smoking cigars, like it took me a long time to figure out how to smoke a cigar, man. The boy lit a cigar, and that picture became viral. P Mac.
That's a good photo, by the way. He with his leg crossed, the whole thing. I mean, that goes immediately upon the office, the bedroom, the everything. That photo is going everywhere in the house. If I have that.
That's a forever photo. I don't care what sport you like. I don't care who your favorite artist is. That picture got to be up on everybody's wall.
I agree. Hey, last question before we get to a hard out here.
Yes, sir.
They just showed another highlight of Troy Polamalu on ESPN. You said on this show that he probably had God telling him what was happening. Would you like to back up that and say it even more after I watched these highlights of him and I'm like, damn, that dude did have God telling him what was happening. That dude was created in the biblical days. He was just born in our generation.
Drop the mic.
Ike, you're the absolute best, man. I appreciate you.
Bro, thanks for the invite, P-Mac.
How's that planking thing going against James Harrison? I saw him had a dog lick his face and a kid on his back.
That's another dude a little bit different. But he was created in a caveman era.
Hey, he is a monster. Those videos he puts out of him working out is just next. I mean, it is just unbelievable that he and I are the same species. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I know, right? You should have saw a locker room with Troy, him, Joey Porter, James Ferrier, Larry Foote, Chris Hope, Tyrone Carter. If you would have been in that locker room, we would have been billionaires off of social media. Billionaires. Man, them boys used to them boys. No, don't get it twisted. Like Troy be clowning, please. It's just he gotta warm up to you. And that warm up might take 8 years. And I don't know too many people who gonna be around for 8 years. But yeah, man, that locker room was something else, P-Mac.
Hey, Casey Hampton I might have to send it to a break, but I want you to stick around. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just power through it. We'll continue after the radio break on youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. Casey Hampton was also in that locker room. That was one of my favorite humans I've ever seen. He showed up too heavy one time, and he basically, I forget how he showed up too big or something like that. And the conversation revolving around the Pittsburgh media was like, it's Casey Hampton. Like that's what Casey Hampton. I think he showed up 50 pounds overweight, 40 pounds overweight or something like that at one point.
Man, Big Hamp was probably one of the only biggest players I know who can do a real live split at 400.
400 pounds that guy weighed at one point?
I mean, I'm exaggerating.
No, he might have though. He was never. If he was 400, he would have been out of the league. He was like 399. He was so impressive to watch. So he was that dancing bear thing you referred to. Those big. Now, granted, let's go back to that conversation with Tua because I did have this thought.
Okay.
He played in the SEC, which everybody's like, it's the greatest conference in college football. Top to bottom, the most athletes. I 100% agree. And after watching college football a little bit more in depthly this year, as opposed to years past, I completely get it. Now, obviously, Clemson got a lot of SEC talent over there, but that's how they describe it. By the way, they got SEC talent. Is that something that Tua can rely on? Like, hey, you know what? I played in the SEC. It was a great conference. Is it any comparison to the NFL?
No.
I don't think so either. I don't know how. I try to explain that to people, and everybody tells me I'm a stooge, but it's a different animal with these grown-ass men that can run 4.4s at like 280. It just makes no sense.
It's that pressure, bro. Like it's a different kind. It's a different kind of pressure when you get to the league because there is no old 5-star recruits. There is no this booster wants you to play. There is no scholarship. Like you said, you got grown men trying to feed their family, dog. So when you got grown men trying to put food on the table, you know that the only rules is on the field, and really, there's really no rules other than when that whistle blows. It's organized violence, man. It's organized violence, and that quarterback position is a tough position, and I see why they get paid so much because your great quarterbacks now throw the ball, them Aaron Rodgers, them Drew Brees, they thread the needle pretty often. Not when somebody's wide open, not when I got an A1 receiver. Like, your good quarterback make receivers. Like, Tom Brady made Wes Walker. Tom Brady made Julian Edelman. When you become elite in that status, you got to thread the needle often. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if he's been threading the needle.
So that's why whenever I said he was putting it in place, was you gave a look. You were like, sometimes he might have, but there's
threading that needle. You got to do that, and you know better than anybody because you've been playing for a while. You've been in the league for a while. Hey man, that quarterback, man, he got to thread it. He just gonna be average. He gonna be average to below average. If he can't thread that needle,
a miss by that much is a pick. Like it's
a pick.
That's a big deal.
Matter of fact, you can close the gap even more. Let's give it 12 inches. 12 inches is a pick. If you miss by 12 inches, somebody picking that ball off 9 times out of 10. You know how hard it is to throw the ball on the rope, a tight rope every play.
I know how long 12 inches is too. You know.
So I can't even go there. I can't even go there with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Ike Taylor. We appreciate that.
Hey, still invite you, man.
Hey, I appreciate you, man.
All right, thanks, bro. Y'all boys be good. Stay safe.
You too. Where are you at? Florida?
I'm in Orlando.
Orlando. All right. Stay safe down there, will you? We appreciate the hell out of you, Ike.
All right, thanks, bro.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Woo!
It's the perfect occasion for mental vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication. 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
You're damn right, Liz Chase Rice. We got a lot to get to before we get to Tommaso Ciampa of NXT in 14 minutes and then Austin Hooper in 39 minutes. We can't thank you enough for watching and listening wherever the hell you may be. It's Tuesday, April 7th. I'm joined by all of the boys. Hour 2 is kicking off. At Nick Barato's here. At Turtleneck Tone Diggs is here. Ty Schmidt is here. Jason McAfee's here. Viva Lazito's here. Evan Foxy's here. And Boston Connor still looks like a stooge. Diggs, I do like the turtleneck. I can't wear turtlenecks.
No.
Well, I did for costumes like Steve Jobs and things of that nature, and I'll wear it with a suit every once in a while if I just. It's strictly to do the rocks, the thing. I can't actually wear them. You can actually wear them.
I have worn this before. The thing that makes it different is the string fell out.
So it used to look like a hood.
Yeah, and now it's a much different outfit.
Yeah, it is a much different outfit. It looks good. You did well. You should feel good about it. Let's pivot away from turtlenecks to the virtual draft that's about to happen by the NFL. The commissioners had a call with the president this past weekend, and we've seen a lot of things roll out from this, right? Dana White has bought a private island that he's flying international fighters on a private plane to fight. He's got a venue he's had for the last 2 months in his basement, I think, where he's going to have people fight in. The MLB has said they're trying to create a biodome basically out in Phoenix, Arizona, where they have a lot of spring training and a lot of stadiums. Players will potentially go there, play their games, go home, and self-quarantine away from their families. A lot of things have kind of come out of this conversation in an attempt to put out a little bit of optimism for the future that will be hopefully grander and better than the time that we're obviously currently living in, which is a nightmare for everybody who is quarantined in their houses. So I like that this is happening. The NFL through this entire thing has maintained the fact that the draft will go on as scheduled. Now, everybody knows that the draft in recent years has become this massive spectacle. Philadelphia, Dallas, Nashville, 250,000 people in the streets on Broadway there in Nashville. It was an electric environment. I mean, it was awesome. The thought that the NFL could turn a selection of a player to a team, which back in the day was done via mail, I think, by the way. Players would learn via mail that they had got drafted to a team, and nobody even knew until the season started. And then it became something. Then it became a TV show. Then it was in New York with some fans that would boo at everything because New York fans are awesome. And then they started taking it on the road, and it just became this massive spectacle of potentially electing the next face of your franchise. The future is a bright one. With this draft pick, not only is the moment happy, but maybe the next 10 years with this person on your team is going to be better. I was on Frank Caliendo's podcast the other day, and one of his co-hosts, John, one of those two. I should know his name. John, I think. Big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. He said when Devin Bush was drafted to Pittsburgh Steelers, he was excited for like the next 10 years for the Steelers. Okay, we got a guy for the next 10 years. The draft is something that is all about the future. So the fact that the NFL is deciding to keep it go on, I think is great for everybody who is just constantly thinking about the future. So I think the draft happening as scheduled is a good idea. Now, how do they get around it with the technology and things like that? I always assumed that they would just drop into the war rooms and then go back to a main host or whatever it is, then send it to a war room, maybe FaceTime with a player who was just drafted, and, do it how the internet has done it for years and years and years. But then as these steps in the social distancing move forward, you realize that the humans weren't going to be able to be in their facilities, and they weren't going to be able to be around all the scouts, and they weren't going to be able to do these things. So the way they're adjusting and adapting to this whole thing is actually pretty fascinating. This app, Zoom, has captivated a nation. I mean, Zoom is everywhere. You got teachers doing classrooms in there. You got investors doing calls in there. You got friends having happy hours in there. I saw a DJ performing a set in Zoom. I mean, Zoom has become this online social gathering place with video, and it's obviously susceptible to some things. But I think it's also a plus side for whenever people are trying to get things done when they can't see them. Now, Jerry Jones has been adapting to this in beautiful fashion, and the Dallas Cowboys posted a video giving us an inside glimpse of what life is like now as a general manager for a team who's trying to learn about these players that they haven't met formally in person, other than the combine, if Jerry Jones was there meeting with players, now to really dive deep into the insides of what makes them and see if they would be a great fit for your culture. You got to do it via FaceTime or Zoom, and then your meeting with your coaches is via Zoom, and Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys released this video, and it's pretty intriguing. Take a look inside of Jerry Jones' living room.
Better looking than Will. I've got the two of you up there. I see a before and after shot here.
He's talking trash on his coaches, which I respect. A little gamesmanship there.
Guys that I play with, one of my fears is letting them down, not me messing up because it makes me look bad, messing up because it can hurt the team.
Okay, Jalen Hurts with an incredibly political answer, but this is a look inside of how GMs are conducting their business, talking to their coaching staff, talking to their scouts, talking to potential draft prospects. That was pretty interesting there. I like the fact that Jerry Jones is also just talking a bunch of trash on his coaches or scouts, whoever it is, about somebody looks like Fogel before the Subway and somebody looks like Fogel after the Subway. I like Jerry Jones is doing that. But one NFL executive is, I think woke to the fact that technology can be the best thing of all time and the worst thing of all time. And he's worried about potentially getting his Zoom hacked, which will obviously be all the scouts talking to the GM before they make a draft pick or what's going on, just basically giving their inside information. They're worried that another team will figure out a way to hack their Zoom and know what the hell's going on. And that, by the way, is not an unfounded thought. These Zooms have been getting hacked, and they are spectacular.
I'm going to mute all. It seems like our Zoom has been a little hacked.
Excuse me?
Oh,
yes.
How did we hack you?
Excuse me, I work for Zoom. Haley, show your breast.
Okay.
Look at the old white guy on the left. Guy has no clue what's going on. Somebody said breasts. Was that my wife?
Can you non-mute me?
How did we hack you?
This is happening on Zoom on a very regular basis. Classrooms are getting hacked by people that are anti-Semitic. I mean, this little hangout between, I think, a kid and his grandparents, all of them just got hacked by a couple of teenagers, it sounds like, asking for them to show their breasts. And these NFL executives is like, the last thing we need is little Dan over there in Philadelphia, who's 13 years old and bored, coming in and absolutely sabotaging our full operation. I was concerned about the potential of Zooms being hacked. I don't use the Zoom, but I raised the suspicion of, that is something that I think the NFL should be worried about. And Nick told me, nah, somebody's just leaking the link to people and they're just getting out there. It's not people like actually diving into the mainframe.
I don't think so. I think it's a lot of just carelessness and naivety.
Great word right there. Great word right there.
It's like, I'll just tweet this link out. No one else will jump in, or no one.
Well,
even email scams.
Schefter's going to get the link. Right? Let's assume Schefter gets the link. Schefter's going to be potentially in everybody's Zoom before the draft even happens because they're going to want the inside information, right? Let's assume Glazer has the link somewhere. Mm-hmm. So what does it take? It just takes one Glazer or one Schefter or one insider who has this link to potentially leak it to somebody who's not supposed to have it. And then wham, draft night is completely exposed. Or one of those scouts or coaches who wants maybe one of their friends to maybe see what's going on. I mean, but you see everybody that comes into the Zoom, don't you?
Yeah.
So they would know immediately upon that. So they probably have backup Zooms on deck, I guess. Is that kind of how it goes?
You would think. That would be the smart thing.
Backup rooms.
I'm pumped for draft night, man.
Do
I
you
think it's potentially going to be a spectacle.
Do you think more people are going to trade back because of the uncertainty and not having face-to-faces with all the upcoming rookies?
I think it's a lot bigger deal. For the teams that you see that build through the draft, the teams that are historically good build their teams through the draft, it's a big thing about culture for everybody. You talked to Chris Ballard the first time he got here to the Colts, first year he got here. He had like $130 million to spend or something like that. And I'm like, yo, is that money just burning a hole? Everybody was talking about him having so much money. And he said, we got to build a culture first before we bring in a free agent. Our culture isn't ready for a free agent to come in here because when you bring in the free agent, then the free agent becomes the culture. So you got to build a winning culture in your building first. And the way you do that is by having good humans in your locker room, by having good humans in your training room. And to do that, you have to know who the hell you're getting. I think it's a much bigger deal than some people are leading on. enough that they don't get a chance to meet the people. Just at least have eyes on for a second time to really find out who you're potentially investing millions and millions of dollars on. I do think it's going to be a big deal, and it might make some people, get out of the game and trade back because they're like, we don't know anything about this person. We're not going to do it. But on the flip side, if you're willing to roll the dice a little bit, you could potentially probably make a good play and move up in the draft and get some people and take advantage of other people being kind of scared to make a move.
Well, best available guys too, because like if you're going with best available at the position, you're probably more likely to take a risk there, right?
By the way, I think that best available or need thing is a media narrative. I don't think. Okay. I honestly do. I don't think that's a real thing. You talk to Tom Telesco or any general manager, he's like, it's a best. It's like if there's a freak available, we're going to take him. If there is a massive need on our team and there happens to be a very good player there, we're going to take. I think it's more so, hey, let's build our team up to be great as opposed to who we have. I think there's a lot of things that go in. I don't think it's a team is necessarily strictly best available team, and I don't think this team is strictly a draft for need. I think it's a very much a combination of who's available, how bad did we suck last year in this position, and what do we got to do to move forward. I think it's a combination of both on a very regular occasion.
Talking about the culture, and we saw Jerry interviewing Jalen Hurts, do you think it's easier for players to hide stuff over a video conference than it is in person?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like an interview you do with somebody. It's much easier to do it in person because you can see their body language. You can see how they're feeling. I mean, he might be tapping his leg underneath there whenever he starts bringing up, something like, when you transferred and then threw it into like a defensive team meeting 45 times. Was that ever? No, that was no problem. That was not worried at all. And you're just, you know what I mean? They hire these people who are these sociology and human experts, basically. Navy SEAL, special ops, people that are good at reading body language. And now you can't really do it unless you're doing it via FaceTime. It's all very interesting. But I'm happy the NFL is moving forward, by the way. I understand the GM and the scouts hate it, but I'm happy they're moving forward. Let's get to one phone call before we get to a break for Tommaso Ciampa. Let's go to Patrick in Virginia because he's got great legs. Or great name. Not great legs. Patrick, that was an awkward start. What's going on, dude?
Nothing much, man. I just had a pitch for Office Olympics.
You'll hear why I
They
said
see
that.
how much Fox you can leg press.
That's a great idea, actually, Patrick. That is something we will definitely log into the Office Olympics bank.
I don't know. I just don't know how entertaining that'll be.
Let's get to a break.
I appreciate his idea.
Let's get to a break. We have a physical specimen joining us on the other side. This man broke his neck and is rehabbed and recovered, and he's back. Tomorrow night, he's in a massive match against Johnny Gargano. If you don't watch wrestling or are not intrigued by wrestling, these two men will attempt to kill each other tomorrow night. And we will talk to one of them. Tommaso Ciampa on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Tua tweeted out a video of him taking a drop, going through a quarterback drill to his right side, taking a couple steps, and then throwing a ball. He said it felt good to get back out there and spin it a little bit, practicing social distancing here. We're going to throw the long ball. Before we get started, let's talk about what Tua decided to wear for this workout. I believe Trent Dilfer is training Tua. You'll hear him in the video at the beginning. But Tua, if we look at this, has Nike shoes on, Adidas shorts on, and an Adidas shirt on. Okay? That's a sign of trouble in my eyes. That is a sign of trouble. I don't know what we're doing here. We can't be crossing brands up unless we're letting everybody know, hey, although I went to Alabama and I was a Nike guy, I want to let Adidas know I like their shorts, I like their shirts, but I'm not transferring over to the shoes yet unless you guys throw me some coin. But I don't love the initial thought that we are automatically crossing brands out, right? So my first initial thought was, come on, Tua, you're better than that. But whenever you watch this thing play, and you remember this dude has had 4 surgeries in 2 years. His last was of a hip one that retired Bo Jackson. And we're way ahead of schedule here. And you watch this drill. Run that thing, Foxy. I mean, here's Trent Dilfer letting him know what we want to see. He's got good grip. Set, go. Drop. Reset, drop, reset, spin it. I mean, he looks Now, Get Up led off with this morning because it's one of the newest sports that has been released here. But this is a real thing. Tua knew exactly what he was doing when he was putting this out there. And I absolutely am excited for the thought that Tua will be back and ready to go for next year. My thought was always that Tua was going to end up in Miami. He'll sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year, learn how to do, the NFL basically. It looks like Tua's going to be ready for this season in no time. Maybe he's a little bit thicker than he might have been because he hadn't been able to run and rehab and stuff like that. But I feel like over the next couple weeks here, Tua's about to get dialed in. And the guy that was one of the most accurate passers in college football history looks like he is healthy and ready to go. This is a guy that people are going to move for in the middle of the draft. And I'm happy for him, but we have to ask the question. Why is he wearing Nike shoes with Adidas shorts? Why is he wearing the Adidas shirt? Why not just go ahead and put on some Adidas bottoms and let this thing match and ride out? That's the question I have. But I assume football people won't mind for that. I think they're seeing this video, and it looks he looks balanced. He looks strong, pivoted off that back left hip. He looks like he's going to be a ball player. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, Tuesday, April 7th. Tommaso Ciampa is not ready yet. He'll be ready in a couple. He's good now. I guess we can call him. But before we get him on there, can we please show that graphic that Jason McAfee?
I'm sorry. I already took out of it.
Foxy hates that Jason McAfee.
No, I loved it so much. I actually complimented him.
No, turned around and
I
said
just
that's the
keeping it
worst thing I've
moving.
ever seen. You deleted that thing? He had his name in camo.
I know.
Right
it's on
into
the other
garbage
card.
can.
Foxy's worried
This
about
high
job
horse
security.
that Foxy's been on lately.
Whoa,
is
whoa, 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 whoa.
despicable.
He's a painter now.
I was just getting ready for the interview.
He's a painter now.
At a pond.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't talk about Evan Fox trying to bury my brother's graphic for this next man that is joining us right now, formerly NXT champ. Old Goldie was taken away from him. Had a broken neck, rehabbed that thing back in his backyard / gym. I followed along on Instagram. The man is an absolute weapon. And tomorrow, he will battle Johnny Gargano. Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, Ciampa! Well done, Pat McAfee.
Hey, are you in that? I watched you do work in.
I'm here. I'm
Hey,
home.
Can you explain to people who might not know the Tommaso Ciampa story? You had a broken neck. Is that accurate?
Yeah. We had a C5-6 fusion that I put steel plate in, a couple screws. That's high up.
Okay, so that's up yonder.
That's high up. Yeah. That's in the neck region.
Is C1 like here? Like where?
Yeah. C1's base of the skull or whatever, and then it just kind of trickles down. 5-6 is actually one of the more common ones. 4-5, 5-6. That's like it goes down the arm. You kind of lose feeling in the hands, the fingers, all that. So I had that, which is good, I guess, in the sense that it's more common, but bad in the sense that I had to have neck surgery.
Yeah, you had a broken neck. I mean, broken neck. Yeah. Peyton had neck surgery one year, and Bill Polian was asked about it a couple months later. It was like, yeah, standard neck surgery. Everything came out well. And a lot of people on the team, I was like, is neck surgery just like this is a pretty serious, neck surgery is a pretty serious thing. And since you having your C5, C6 replaced and fixed, You've gone to work. I don't know if you knew what was next for you. I don't know if you knew how long it was going to take for you to get cleared. We've all seen Edge's story where it took him 9 years to get back in. You just kind of put your blinders on and went back to work and come back even better. It's been very inspirational almost to watch your just get totally jacked in your backyard on a regular basis.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, a good support system here with my wife and little baby, and even the dog. He likes to hang out for the workouts and stuff. So it's just, it's all I know. You know, it's what got me where I am today is just hard work. I embrace hard work, and I don't have a lot of the skill set per se that can cover up if I don't work hard. If I don't work hard, I'm kind of screwed. You know, I'm exposed. However, you have the skill set and I don't want to make it all about you, but I saw on your Instagram a moonsault, a froggy splash, yeah, and what was the other one you did? You did a little Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, Swanton. Oh yeah.
My vote, not that it matters, but my vote is the frog splash.
Okay, a lot of people voted for Frog Splash, by the way.
Pull out all the tricks, but I feel like the Frog Splash, that could be the winner. And I just feel like if you do a moonsault, there's a little risk reward there, and you're banging the knees pretty hard constantly. Then you do the swanton, and now we get the tailbone action going on.
Okay, these are
with
smart.
The Frog Splash, you get the good, proper elbows, knees, everything. You can kind of spread out the damage.
Write it down.
I think.
Got it. All right.
And it looks fantastic, Pat.
Thank you. I tried my best. That was not the first take, by the way. There was
some Eddie in there.
Hey, thank you. La Viva la Raza. What's that? Long live the race, right? I believe that's for the Mexican culture. I'm trying to do that for the Irish, Italian, Germans.
I'm going to figure out what the Irish, Italian Viva la Raza is.
Yeah, I'm going to figure that out. How long have you been wrestling for, Tommaso?
15 years.
Okay, so everybody talks about the wrestling journey as a long one. You're in NXT. You've been a staple of NXT and stealing the show. What was it like at the beginning? Were you doing it in halls and stuff in front of like 5-10 people? Is that true? Everybody's story's kind of like that?
Ironically, I've never wrestled in front of nobody until having a takeover match with Johnny Gargano. That's the first time ever. I've had 5, I've had 10, I've had friends and family. I've never had nobody. Well, cameramen, so I guess there were some people. But yeah, that's exactly how it starts. It starts at the Polish American Veterans Club and at the Legion Hall and at the flea market and indoors, outdoors. And eventually that slowly fills up more and more. But even when it fills up, it fills up for one show. On a Saturday, you might be in front of 2,000, and on a Sunday, you might be in front of 70. So,
and there's always like question marks on what's next from what I've been told in the indie wrestling world. Because you might go in and wrestle somewhere and they might say they're going to pay you $150 or something like that. Then the crowd doesn't turn out. You get like a hot dog basically and an ass slap and like, hey, we'll get you next time. And it's like every day like that. You hop in a car and then travel to another until you finally make it. And even then you still got to every single day you have to earn something, right?
It is. It's different, I'd say now. Even when I broke in, which was 2005, I think was my first match. It was a little different then. Now it's quite a bit different as far as like the uncertainty of it all. You tend, especially with the better promotions, even on the independent scene, you tend to know what you're getting involved in as far as who your opponent might be and what type of crowd you're probably going to be in front of. When I started, it was a little different than that. Before I started, it was definitely exactly what you're saying. It was very like just hit the road and make the best of it. The performer is being treated significantly better now than they were, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
By the way, for the good. And I think all the precautions that WWE is currently taking to continue to ensure that there's a show, but it's nowhere near the normal product. And I think a lot of people were introduced to WWE in WrestleMania this weekend because there was nothing else to watch, right? So a lot of people started watching it, and out of nowhere...
The best social views or most social views they've ever had. I mean, that's insane.
13,
it's an incredible feat to accomplish when you put on a 2-day WrestleMania.
It was a 13.8 rating on the Nielsen. Does that mean out of every 100 tweets or social activity, 13.8 of them were about Twitter? Is that how you read that? I don't know how you read it.
That's what Nielsen is, yeah.
Yeah, it was a Nielsen social rating, whatever the hell that means. It was the biggest event.
Sounds great.
It does. It sounds very good.
Sounds very good.
Now, for you, and the performer in the ring, we talked about I've talked about how in football, for me, when I would go on the field, literally I would try to block out everything anyways. If I was doing it in practice, it's the same exact rep, hopefully, as it is in football, in the game. That's how I had to do things. We talked to A.J. Hawk, how he's like, there can be a lack of juice in the stadium if there's not a good crowd, and that can affect some people mentally. In wrestling, in a pure reactionary profession, has it been like wrestling in front of no people? Has it been harder, easier, different? How would you describe that entire thing?
I think it's very different per performer and what their strengths and weaknesses are. I know for me, prepping for the idea of having the match was the weirdest part. Having it was way less weird than thinking about having it.
Okay.
And then watching it for me is even less weird. Like when I'm watching WrestleMania, say, and there's no crowd, it's pretty easy for me as the viewer to kind of get lost in the match. And I kept putting that in my head of like, this doesn't feel as weird for them as it does for me. So I kind of have to cover that up. And luckily for me, aside from the fact that I love to improv based on crowd reactions, take that out of it. And I cater really well to this atmosphere because it caters to intensity. It caters to realism. I don't have to ever worry about somebody telling me what I do looks or sounds or is fake. There's just nothing fake about my presentation and my striking and just everything I do. So for me, this is kind of one of those things where I take it a lot like when I had to try out for companies, because when you do tryouts, you're just in front of your peers and there is no crowd and you're out there with kind of like a one-man audience, right? It's the promoter. You're trying to make the promoter say, yeah, I'm going to invest in this guy. So that was my view with Johnny. Well, we got a two-man audience. We have Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And if I can get those two guys to forget and to be captivated and to be like, what the hell, then I did my job. And our job, we did our damn job.
Triple H.
People that tune in tomorrow night, they're going to know we did our job.
Yeah, and anytime you and Johnny Gargano are in a ring together, it is insane. I mean, I told before we got to your interview, I said, if you're not a wrestling fan, if you've never got into wrestling, tomorrow night on USA Network at 8 o'clock, two men, the man that we're currently interviewing and Johnny Gargano, formerly a tag team, are going to attempt to kill each other. I mean, it is physical. It is real. When you took it in there,
physical, man.
It
was taped a bit ago, and I'm still at the end of recovery mode right now.
I couldn't even fathom.
It was physical.
Yeah, you guys jump off of things. I mean, you have no regards for your body, and you guys know each other so well. I believe you were in his wedding. You were living in his house at one point. You guys were living together. I mean, you two are magical together. Is there something to be said about that, where there's some people you just can't jive with? Like, for some reason, that happens.
Chemistry is big, man. Oh, yeah. And you know it immediately. Sometimes you actually know it when you're just talking to the person preparing things and we're not jiving, but there's a group in NXT, and it's what's kind of made the NXT so special these last few years, who just have a great chemistry. Johnny and I think come to mind for a lot of people, but Adam Cole is one of those guys you could put in that mix where it's there. There's a little bit of a magic going on right now, and it's a tough time for the industry, but we're trying not to lose that magic. You put the right guys in the ring and have a story to be told. You tell that story, and we're hoping that the people home appreciate it and see what we're trying to tell them.
What's the mindset whenever people leave NXT and go to Raw or SmackDown? What is the mindset in the locker room? It's like, okay, now we got to pick it up, or hey, we got to continue to do this, because that has happened on a very regular basis. Ricochet, Alistair, you name it. You go through the women's division. Now Charlotte's back, obviously, but you guys lose some people out of your roster, and then you still perform at this insane level. The NXT takeovers, and this NXT takeover card would have been, I was hoping to watch it. Now, it's obviously been spanned over 2 weeks. Last Wednesday and tomorrow night is the second half of the takeover. They're doing it on USA Network. But those takeovers somehow top themselves each and every time, even after losing people. Right? What's the mindset in there of you guys?
Yeah, for me now, it's been so different, because I know early on when guys would leave, both Johnny and I would talk about it quite a bit when we were doing DIY. It was, shoot, now if the higher we get up on the card, this kind of becomes our baby. And that was kind of our view a lot when we had, and obviously Finn Balor's back, but when Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and others were at the top, Shinsuke were at the top of the card, it was, damn, I can't wait for it to be my turn. And somehow for us, that our turn has lasted quite a bit because of us landing a deal with USA Network and becoming a legitimate third brand. And it's less of a call-up process now, less of a developmental process, more of a lateral move. So it's changed quite a bit over the last year. But prior to that, I know that you see somebody get called up. If you're not that guy who's called up and you're still in NXT, it's an opportunity that's waiting for you to kind of just take the reign and show them what you're made of.
I think you've been quoted as saying you love NXT. Like you absolutely.
I don't want to go anywhere.
You don't want to go anywhere.
No, I don't. I really want my legacy to be stamped in NXT, and I like it to be. I already like what it is for the last 5 years, but the idea that one day we're filling up the baseball stadiums and we're not part of WrestleMania weekend. It's Takeover weekend, and whether that means it's Takeover weekend 4 times a year, 6 times a year, or it's 12 times a year, and then there's the one big special one. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I just want NXT to become the ratings. The ratings were to me. I'd like us to take over SmackDown and Raw. Like I genuinely believe we can. I want that to happen. I just think a lot of things have to fall in the right place for it to happen.
Hey, that's an awesome message to send out there, by the way. I think right now there's going to be some people abuzz on the internet about what you just said right there. That's a big deal because from working around the NXT, family, getting a chance to kind of get dropped in there every once in a while and then bounce out and then dropped in. It really is. It feels like it's like almost like the movie 300. It's like we're going against everybody. Like we are trying to take over everything at this point. It is awesome to see.
Yeah. And it's an interesting time too, because, you don't fool the viewer. Everyone knows, WWE is Vince McMahon. So it's not like we're this independent group who's out there hungry on our own without money backing us. Everybody knows that. But just like you said, if you're in the locker room, it's such a different vibe. It's such a different family. It's so us versus the world. I think we just believe so much in the product that we're putting forth. We're the storytellers. That's kind of my view on it. Like, hey, you want a story? Come down to NXT. This thing's going to play out over 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, in our case, 5 years. And it's what I grew up on. That's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with Macho and Hogan. I fell in love with Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. I fell in love with stories.
Rock and Austin.
Like, okay, here I am. This is my legacy. I'm going to tell a whole bunch of stories. And I think if we do it the right way, NXT is just going to keep growing.
Hey, I know we have to get you out of here. Before we let you go, I want you to talk about, you said as long as Triple H and Shawn Michaels are captivated by what we do, we're happy. What are Triple H and Shawn Michaels? They're just in charge down there. I saw them. They're mentors. They're very hands-on in this entire process.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're just, obviously Hunter, this is his baby. And ever since Shawn came down and became a coach, and, I was lucky enough to be in his class. I don't know if you lost me for a second. Sorry. I was lucky enough to be in Shawn's class, and he's almost become, in a weird way, like a life coach to a bunch of us down there. And I'll tell you, the text that I got from them after things were said and done for what you're going to see Wednesday, it was one word, it was caps lock, it was epic. And it comes from two guys who opinions matter quite a bit to me, and they've done quite a bit in this industry. So I think people are going to be very, very, very happy with what they see Wednesday night. It's we put our goddamn hearts and our souls on the line. We did. For the situation and circumstances, we went above and beyond. And that's not just Johnny and myself. It's the whole crew at NXT. It's special, and I will gladly have that be a part of my legacy that I leave behind in NXT.
Let's go! Can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see what you and that madman Gargano put together tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on USA Network. Ladies and gentlemen, one-time NXT champ, hopefully future Hall of Famer as strictly an NXT-er. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommaso Ciampa.
Give a pat on the back there. There you go.
Hey, see you, man. I appreciate the hell out of you.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers. All right, we got to get to a break because we got Austin Hooper on the other side. Hey, that was a deep wrestling conversation, man.
Passion.
15 years he's been doing it. Hey, you should see him before he's about to go out for a match. You know how he said, like, real and stuff like that? He is a
maniac.
Like, backstage, right? He's getting a pump or whatever, waking up his muscles. And, like, the first time I was like, oh, it looks good or whatever. And he, like, gave me a look like, dude, Not now, bro. I'm in the zone. It was really like that. And then he went out there, by the way, and him and Gargano threw themselves off, I think, a 50-foot high ledge or something like that. It was just tomorrow night is going to be insane. Can't wait to watch it. Austin Hooper of the Cleveland Browns, tight end, joins us on the other side. Big thanks to Tommaso. Big thanks to Ike Taylor. And thanks to you for watching and listening wherever you are. We got 25 more minutes of magic. Let's go.
What you're seeing here is once upon a time sure-footed NFL punter Pat McAfee attempt the impossible. It's a long way up there, McAfee, all the way to the top rope. Are you kidding me? Here comes disaster. There is no way. Oh my God, Stone Cold in the background looking on. How on earth did this idiot pull this off? Picture perfect moonsault. Well done, McAfee, you didn't die. Okay, this is too far. Pat, calm down.
In the following weeks, there will be various. Pat, are you wearing pants or are you just wearing shorts? Because I'm concerned that it's a. All right, you have shorts on. Look, with you, I don't know. I just want to make sure you have some kind of pants on.
I was on television, I forget, it was ESPN or something like that, and I got a text from Stephanie McMahon that said, "Are you wearing pants right now?" And it was jeans. I was wearing jeans, and she was almost like offended that I was wearing jeans. She was like, I thought you only wear jorts. I was like, so that's on me.
I didn't even know that you owned long pants, actually.
It was cold. It was cold. I was soft. I had to put the pants on. That's on me. But next couple of weeks.
There's a joke there, but it's a family show.
It's not, actually, but yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Let's get it. Let's go. Dream house is a tour bus. Scream loud that you knew us. Deep down, I'm the new plug. You ain't about to get too dust. Pete's frown when they crew scrubs. Sweet sound from the two subs. Beats loud as a move, bruh. Leave the crowd like, ooh, what? Long hair on the big thigh. 210s, both sitting shoddy. Cracking fits, start getting rowdy. Blowing nose, looking like an Audi. It's Uncle Sam without the taxes. Crowd stands up, I keep them loud. I made this beat, you hear it smacking? Who is third? Hand me a nap. You probably wasn't expecting this. What? Expected this?
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. What is that?
That's Smokey Bellows with Midnight. Banger.
Hey, that guy drinks a lot of whiskey. That guy blacks out on a regular basis.
Smokes a lot of cigarettes.
Long Marlboro, cowboy killers to the face, that guy. Jeez.
Weapon.
Shout out to who?
Smokey Bellows.
Shout out to the Smokey Bellows. Also, shout out to the Cleveland Browns for making this man the highest paid tight end in NFL history. He was a monster for the Atlanta Falcons. Now he'll be on the Browns alongside Njoku. The Cleveland Browns keep getting better and better. Will their team be better and better? TBD. Ladies and gentlemen, tight end Austin Hooper.
There we go, Hoop.
Hey guys, appreciate you for having me. Watch the show a lot. I love your content, Pat.
I don't know if that's real or not, but I appreciate the hell out of you.
No, I watch it. I've been watching Boston Connor tear his hair out for the past couple months. It's been awesome.
It's been awesome.
Austin, we love you. We got to have you on more. Congrats on becoming the highest paid tight end in NFL history.
I appreciate that, man. A lot of hard work no one saw. So happy it came to fruition.
Hey, that's real, though. That is 100% real because everybody sees what you do on Sunday. Obviously, they don't see the offseason. You've been a two-time Pro Bowler. Now, Andrew Berry, who I have a lot of respect for, he was with the Colts for a long time. Harvard man, quarterback, super smart. I think he was the right hire for the Browns. I wanted the Colts to hire him for a GM a long time ago. What was your conversation like with him and the expectation for the Browns organization going forward, Austin?
It was positive. I mean, obviously, strange times in our country's history. Obviously, everything we could do is over phone. Normally, as you know, we'd already be at the facility, already get inundated around your teammates, coaches, staff, things like that. But just the mission he has here, he just wants to build like a blue-collar football team, and he just wanted to get as many like hard-working guys who have a reputation for working hard in the building. So that was kind of what he's envisioned. So I'm just trying to do my part.
Hey, that matches the city, by the way. I've always thought if the team reflects the city, you're probably going to have a much better fan base. Cleveland, blue-collar city, a fan base that is ready for some winning.
No question, no question. I mean, if taking a look on paper, man, especially being on the offensive side of the ball, I'm really excited with David Njoku, with Odell, with Jarvis. I mean, you got every skill position you could want. So, I mean, it's really, really exciting.
Have you talked to Baker or any of your teammates since signing, and how has the welcoming been via FaceTime, text, whatever the hell it is?
Yeah, it's been weird, man. You know how it is. I mean, because you don't want to be that guy who's hitting everyone up in the DMs. Hey, bro, I'm your new teammate. So it's definitely weird, but like at the same time with Baker and a couple other guys, like I want to, obviously with Baker, my quarterback, got in contact with him. I mean, ideally, if we weren't in the current state of affairs we already are, I'd already be in Austin, Texas with him, getting like 40, 50 catches a day with him, just finding out, how he throws the ball, him understanding my body mechanics. Because, you play the game long enough, you understand it's not just about how crispy your routes are, how good you are off the line of scrimmage. It's when you hit the top of your route, does your quarterback know what you're going to do before you do it? Just that nonverbal communication, him understanding your body language and your body mechanics. So that was the biggest thing with me and Matt Ryan. It's not like, the years I had success, I dropped like 3/10 off my 40 or anything like that. It was just I got a couple thousand balls in the offseason with Matt. So he knew when I do a certain thing with my body, he knew I was going to break in the next step. So I turn around, balls in the air, and it doesn't matter who's on you. If the ball's on you as soon as you turn your head around, nothing the defender can do. So ideally, when this all settles down, I'd like to get that relationship going with Baker. But in the meantime, all we can do is shelter in place.
Ike Taylor said that sometimes a quarterback can get in the matrix, and I think that is what he's referring to is when he and the wide receiver on there, there's nothing a DB can do. There's nothing a linebacker can do. He can have perfect coverage, but the perfect ball with the perfect timing is undefeated. That's why Peyton was so good. And the amount of reps that Peyton got with his wide receivers, both at practice, out of practice, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and wherever the hell they were. I mean, the amount of reps it took for him to get great, he said he needed it, made our offense electric. Now that you can't do that with Baker, and you look around the league, there's a lot of teams that aren't able to do this, obviously. Do you think the offense might be a little bit sloppy early in the season? Because everybody knows the first couple weeks of training camp, defense normally does better because it's see ball, get ball. Do you think we're going to potentially see a little bit of that kind of trickle into the season?
Yeah, I mean, you would think, right, that the teams who have a lot more continuity, guys who kept the same coordinators will be at advantage. For example, you know how they switch up the rules. So being a new coach with Coach Stefanski, we're supposed to actually start OTAs, I think, next week or something like that? We start 2 weeks earlier than the rest?
I think it was Monday.
Monday.
I think you would have started on Monday.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, especially, new head man coming in with a new offense. I mean, all I can do is just sit back and watch the iPad, which is great. I mean, it's a lot of things I've done in the past, but, obviously getting that in practice feel, understanding how your play caller likes to do things, understanding how your quarterback processes information and defense. So, there's just only so much you can do. But luckily, the organization sent out iPads, so I can at least understand the verbiage.
How do you feel about the offense? Is there some similarities to what you were running in Atlanta, or is it going to be a whole new world for you?
It was a little different than Dirk. Dirk was a lot more vertical. This is kind of like more similar to things I ran my rookie year with Kyle Shanahan. So a lot more outside zone, West Coast concepts, 3-5 step stuff, a lot of things off of movement. So it's everything I've been asked to do in the past. So it should be a smooth transition for me.
Where are you from?
I'm from the Bay Area, a little town called San Ramon outside of Oakland.
Oh, the town, bro.
No. No, I'm not from that part where only Marshawn can save you. No, sir. I'm from the
Hey, did you see the cars doing donuts in the middle of intersections over there in Oakland just a few days ago?
Yeah, they're called a sideshow. I only saw them on YouTube because, again, Pat, I ain't in there to eat those.
So, like, with the new offense, Stefanski come from Minnesota, will you watch, like, Kyle Rudolph tape and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I watched a lot of Kyle in the past, and a big thing that he did, he also had Irv Smith being a rookie. So they did a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I think that was a part of why I'm here because, David on his own is incredibly talented. That's why, I was kind of surprised. I was like, what? I was like, me too? All right, I'll take it. Let's go.
Was there any other teams interested, or were the Browns coming after you the heaviest early?
It was either between them or the Redskins. I remember talking to Dwayne Haskins for a little bit, like his competitive nature, like his style. I mean, he's got, certain swag to him, which was, appealing for me. And Coach Ron Rivera, I've had guys who've come through Atlanta in the past who played for him and said, he's a consummate players coach. He'll keep it real with you, but he'll also show love. And you're a former player. You understand, like, those little bones that coaches throw speak volumes. So that's something that stood out to me. But at the end of the day, Cleveland made the most sense.
Man, if you win in Cleveland, I mean, they had a Bud Light cooler that they kept shut until they got away. That son of a bitch was never open. I mean, if you make the playoffs for Cleveland, I mean, that would be, if I was Andrew Barry, and he's much smarter than me, if I'm pitching people, I'm like, listen, here's the deal. Our fans are awesome. Our organization is an old one. If we win here, this city's going to be upside down. You should be a piece of that. And that I would be excited to be a part. But now Cleveland is a cold ass place now, Austin. I mean, you're going to be there's going to be some chilly games over there in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, most from what I heard though, it's pretty mellow until November. I mean, at the end of the day, like, at least you get me through the first half of the year. The back half, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not playing indoors anymore. So it was a luxury I kind of took for granted.
What are some hobbies of yours, Austin? What do you do in your downtime here? What are you doing while locked down aside from working out and such?
Man, really just hopping on the bike. I mean, it's, obviously limited activities. Normally I go to my training facility and everything like that and pull sleds and, put a bunch of weight on my back and do all that stuff. But you kind of got to do some Rocky IV home style workouts, just grabbing whatever you can find and making it work.
You went to Stanford?
Yes, sir. I dropped out, though. Don't be too impressed.
Hey, I am impressed. Just the fact that I feel like a lot of people potentially drop out of Stanford and make, I don't know, $1 billion. You did it in the form of football, and you're not done anywhere near done yet. I think Stanford, after going there and calling a game, now granted, they got killed. I mean, absolutely killed.
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough as of late.
But the campus was awesome. That place, you're around so many humans that are just creative, intelligent. It feels like a free community over there.
Yeah, you've been around Andrew. I mean, I'm sure Andrew told you the same thing. I mean, the coolest part, Pat, is just the people. I mean, you meet the most interesting people, and it really puts things into perspective. Like, you're walking around campus, you're like, most places you walk around, you're a football player, like, oh, man, I got something going for me. If you're a football player at Stanford, all that means is statistically you're by far the dumbest person on campus. They're like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, well, I'm building an app. I'm doing so well, I might, leave halfway in my freshman year. What do you do? Oh, I run into people for the cheers of a drunken crowd. Oh, good job.
Statistically.
Yeah, so it puts everything in perspective.
Where are you staying? Are you in California right now?
Oh yeah, I'm at my parents' house. I mean, I was over here, I was handling some stuff, and then all of a sudden, obviously they shut down a bunch of everything. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna be out here. I mean, it's been good though. I mean, this is the most time. I mean, baseball got canceled, spring training. My brother plays baseball, so he came back, and colleges are obviously closed down.
Who's
so
your brother
my
play
sister, my brother's in the Kansas City Royals organization, left-handed pitcher.
How's he feel? I hope he gets all the bread. Is he going to be richer than you? Probably, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be healthier for sure. Health as well.
How do you feel about How does he feel about the Biodome thought? I'm assuming you guys have had conversations about this. Them all going out to Phoenix and playing. I like the thought of a league trying to make do in this entire time. I don't know if it'll work, but I like the concept.
Yeah, I do like a lot of the ideas they're throwing out, especially with the NBA and specifically MLB. Because Pat, 162 games, no one has that much of an attention span. You gotta incentivize more viewerships. At the end of the day, the money's all in viewerships. You got to make the games more exciting. And
Bingo.
You tell a fan there are 162 of them. Obviously you're not going to be as pumped to watch baseball every day. But if you market it well and you lower the games, I mean, straight up, unless my brother's on the mound, I'm not watching.
Amen. By the way, that's the rest of the world. And Rob Manfred, as soon as he speaks about anything, he makes you go, why would I watch this? But this Biodome idea seems like a good idea out in Phoenix. I don't know what they're going to do. Listening to you whenever I say, what's your hobby? And it's just working out. That seems like why Andrew Berry signed you, man. I hope you have nothing but incredible success in Cleveland, brother.
I appreciate that. Well, I also getting a lot of Apex in on PS4. So Boston Connor, if you're still upset about the Brady deal, let's hop on the stick.
All right, we'll see what we can do, huh, Zito?
What is Apex? What is Apex for?
It's basically like a form of Fortnite. A lot of downtime these days, Pat. So a lot of video games.
Listen, I'm a Call of Duty Warzone guy. Always have been, always will be. It's
Respect. It's currently downloading an update in my room right now.
There you go. Good luck out there, man. Go kill some technology humans, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Hey, appreciate all you guys. Love your content. Keep doing it.
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin Hill. Hey, cool guy.
Yeah.
Didn't know he's a fan. He's a Brown. That's going to suck for you.
Does. Wanted to hate him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, it sucks.
Hit that thing, Zito.
Are you hiring but having a tough time finding that perfect candidate?
Yeah.
I know how frustrating it could be.
Yeah.
Balancing hiring quickly with finding the right person.
Zito knows.
Oh, yeah. But it doesn't have to be with LinkedIn Jobs. Get started today at linkedin.com/XXX, and LinkedIn will match the right talent with your open role fast.
Jeez.
LinkedIn has over 675 members worldwide. LinkedIn Jobs screens candidates.
Boy.
What happened?
Well,
I don't think it's
XXX. I mean,
hey, I'm Ron Burgundy. I'll read whatever I
yeah.
right over here.
What is it, Pat?
Pat. Yeah.
LinkedIn.com/Pat.
All right, we'll call it to action. Oh, it's actually below.
Nah, we don't have time.
Oh, all right. Yeah, find the right person today. LinkedIn.com.
Dumbest show ever. We'll see you in an hour and 5 minutes with McAfee and Hawk. This has been the Pat McAfee Show from Indianapolis, Indiana. Have an incredible day.